How's it going, gang? This is Coach Paul here, back with another Chalk Talk. Just wanted to discuss today. I think this is an important topic, and the other day, Star Advertiser had an article about a young athlete at Kaimuki High School named Jeremiah White. It talked about how, with all these kids transferring schools in the high school level, the article basically stated how he was loyal, he stayed with them, and he's still getting college offers at this time. So, that's basically what I'm going to kind of talk about today. It just seems as if once this college portal thing happened, which is fantastic, for college level kids, and these universities are making millions and millions of dollars, in college football and sports, where now they can have NAIA deals and, all these things where athletes can now make money and capitalize, on their numbers, their names, and everything of that nature. But here, for some reason, when that happened, I don't know how it is, out in the States nationwide, but here in the state of Hawaii, since the past 2 summers, I've just witnessed so many changes, where I felt at first, there's like no loyalty anymore. And when I talk about loyalty, I'm not just talking about kids, the athletes. I'm talking about, sometimes the parents, but also coaching, where I think, if a coach leaves a team or an organization for whatever reason, it's a shame that, technically they go to parents and the kid and try to get them to come with them. And I say that because, the whole district thing, like they live in one district, and then coach goes to a school clear across, to another district. Now it's either family has to pick up and move, or they use address, whatever it is, get the district exception or whatnot. But what happens if things don't work out at that school, and coach switches to another school? Are you going to just keep following your coach everywhere they go? That's a rough one. Then you have athletes and parents who nowadays, where, man, once things don't go right, for whatever reasons, they quit and up and bounce. And, I'm not saying that there's no justifying why people do things. I think you have to do what you feel is best, for your athlete and everything of that nature. But I'm talking about the ones where, they just, everything's a complaint, everything's something. It's always somebody else's fault. It's pointing the finger, at coaching. And I've seen good coaching staffs that get the finger points. And, again, one thing goes wrong, and all of a sudden we don't like you, and we're bouncing and we're going to another team. I think that here in the state of Hawaii, the DOE, which means the public school system, I think they should get a rule just like, the ILH or private school has in place, where if you switch out to another school, you should have to sit out 1 year. That way, at least deters and makes people make better decisions, where you can't just up and leave, just because you're not happy with small minor things. I know there's situations where a coaching staff might just be not the right fit, for your athlete. And I've seen it, I've witnessed it. So I get it. In that case, maybe sometimes, yes, you do have to pick up and go to another organization so that your athlete will be around. Because I always talk about, you have to associate around, the best to become the best. And, unfortunately, and I think there needs to be a better hiring process as well. I was talking to someone in the States, where Maryland, and high profile football in high school, where it's a public school system. And I was told that there's a hiring process in the interview, and they do background checks. And I'm not saying they do background checks here. I'm not talking about those background checks where they check, if you went to jail, if you were doing bad things or whatnot. I'm talking about background checks to know, what do you know about football? What do you know about coaching? And high school coaches are getting paid near six figures or six figures and beyond at the high school level in public school. And that's because these guys are college level type of coaches. And, these guys, definitely you want your kid to be around, so that they can take them to next levels. So I'm not saying that we have money to pay high school coaches that kind of money here, but there should be a hiring process of some sort where you do a background check. athletic directors, head coaches, or even looking for a head coach, it should be thoroughly looked at, in knowing what these guys know about football. How can they get kids to the next level? What level did they play at? Where did they coach up to? I see guys out there that only coached up to Pop Warner level, and all of a sudden coaching the varsity level. And I'm not saying that won't work, but I always say there's levels to it. And meaning, if I only coached up to Pop Warner, then that's where I belong. Until I get my foot wet at the next level and I learn and I prove myself, then I work my way up the ladder. Otherwise, there's levels to it, like meaning I've played Pop Warner football, I played high school football, I played college football, I played professional arena football. So I have a sense of taking an athlete that I work with through my experiences and get them to that level. And I always say this, and I preached this before, that if I want it in the money sense in business, if I wanted to make $1,000,000, who do I want to surround myself with? Millionaires, people who make millions, not people who make 80,000 a year telling me how I can make $1,000,000. Like, that's not what I'm going to do. So I'm going to surround myself around people who've been there, done it, so I can take the proper steps and fast track my way to it. So just want to say, we got to be better about this as far as, foundations at home. That's where it starts, having the values. I grew up in a household where my parents were really supportive of, whatever it is that I did, but they didn't overstep their boundaries. They didn't play sports like that. So they were great supporters, and they didn't butt in and tell me, oh, your coaches are horrible or blah, blah. Like, they just said, if I had a bad day, hey, it'll be better tomorrow. Work hard. That's what I would always get. Keep working hard for what you want. So, a lot of that language has changed today from what I hear around, where, again, it's never the athlete's fault. It's always somebody else's fault. And that's just not how I was raised, and that's not how I built character. So, so it starts at home. Parents should be great supporters of not just their child, but of the program that they decided to put them into. So that was rule number one. The program that I played for in high school, I mean, our coach flat out had the parent meeting and said, hey, if you don't like what we're doing or what you're hearing right now, the gate's open, there's a school down the road, go take that route, but you're not going to do it here. In fact, our parents weren't even allowed to watch practices. They'd have to stay outside the gate till it was done. Parents weren't allowed to talk to coaches unless a meeting was set up. Just a lot of factors. Parents couldn't be on the sideline. I see it at high school sports, where parents are literally on the field when their kid gets hurt. And, there's one thing when you have an ambulance on the field and they get parents called over and it's severe, but it's another thing when it's just an athletic trainer that needs to tend to a sprained ankle or hurt leg or something like that. I've even witnessed hot dogs being eaten on the sideline. It's just crazy what I'm witnessing today, where discipline is out the door, and it's such a microwave society. And when I say that, it's being everything wants it now, and that's just not what's going to build good character in your athlete. So I believe that you get into a program, you stick to it, you work hard. Athletes, you will be seen. If you're that guy, if you are that athlete, rather if you get the eye check, and if you know what the eye check is, that's the first thing college recruiters do, is they look at you, your physical stature, and all that good stuff. And right off the back, in the first 10 seconds, they already know, like, oh man, I want this guy because I can work with his size, or whatever the case scenario is. That's the eye check. It's either the eye check and or you're just a flat out baller. And I'm telling you, if you're just a flat out baller, I don't care what your win record is. If you ball when you touch the ball, if you are that guy when you rush the quarterback, whatever position you play, you will be seen, right? You just got to post your highlight videos, your huddle accounts, your Twitters, all that good stuff that you guys have nowadays. It'll come. I promise you that. It doesn't matter what team you're on. So I'm saying is, before you think about leaving and going to another school for whatever crazy reasons and little reasons you have, think about that before you leave. Like, what about your boys? What about your teammates? What about your community? It's bigger than that. Here in Hawaii, it's very far and few now where communities really rally around their teams. You know, Kahuku High School is one of the biggest one that still does that, where their community is all in. You know, and I know there's other programs like Wina that's still trying to do it. It used to be that culture. I played at Wina myself, so I can say so. Somewhere down the line, that got watered down, and you know, I don't see that culture that we had back, you know, up to the early 2000s. So, um, you know, I'm just saying that it has to be a culture that's built within the community at your school in order for this to be a fun time. And you know, that this is going to be one of the best times for high school athletes. And you know, the statistics even show like most high school football players will not even go to college. And if they go to college, most of them won't even play football. They may have started playing football, but they end up not playing football. I might just graduate from college, which is an incredible deal. And, you know, that also leads to not being in the pro, which is a much smaller percentage. So I always say this, man, we got to be realistic. I know we all want to go to big schools, the big D1 schools like USC, UCLA, Alabama, Georgia, and all these big schools that, you know, we pray and dream about. But we also have to be realistic on the amount of pool that these coaches have to choose from in the United States. So, you know, usually in Hawaii, a lot of the kids will go to D2, D3, NAIA schools or JUCO route to start. And, you know, that's still a good deal because I always talk to our athletes here. You know, some of them, they go to college. You know, we train them since they were kids. They go to high school. We train them in high school. And then they go to college. We're training them and they'll come back home the next summer after their freshman year and be like, I don't know if this is for me. And my thing always back to them is this: do you still love football? And if the answer is yes, then I tell them stick it out. The reason is because this might be your last 3 years. You're you know, going into your sophomore year, junior, senior year. This might be your last 3 years that you'll ever play organized football again. So why not take that, enjoy school, enjoy the culture, play football, just have fun. Don't worry about your win record, lose record. If you're not on the field as much as you want, it's still the team camaraderie that you'll never have after the next 3 years. So, you know, again, if your goal is to play college football, guys, you gotta start building that culture at an early age. Meaning culture, meaning foundation mentally, not where it's all about me as an individual. It's not about, you know, me going to certain levels and it's just a me. It's always, you know, the old no I in team thing, right? It's always about team, and then you work hard, right? You can't. The one thing you can control is your attitude. You can't control what other people do. So grind, work hard, don't cheat the grind. You know, a lot of people in social media these days, they'll post videos of their workouts, but it ain't a real workout. It's just enough to put on social media. So make sure you're training, right? We are here for you. We've been at all levels. There's a lot of trainers here at Phase 1 that's been at the levels you want to go to. So we can definitely help coach you through those levels. And we're bringing back soon our Get Recruited program. So yeah, man, with that said, be on the lookout for that. Stay loyal to your teams. Stay loyal to your community. Stay loyal to your friends and your coaches. You know, that's going to go a long way, and it'll translate to your work life later down the line when you're done with football, you're done with school. You're going to have a boss if you're not a business owner. And if you're a business owner, you got to know how to lead. How do you lead if you can't make the right decisions for yourself? So be on the lookout. We got some good stuff coming that'll help you, meaning not just in the training, but in the recruiting phase. We'll have seminars on mental health, when mentoring and goal setting and all kind of different things that's going to help you for your future. You guys have a happy Aloha Friday. Be blessed. Have a great weekend. Peace.